advantage. Penalty advantage as he peels around. Buster one, still going for the line. Here, rolling stop. It away. Lasika on the hard line. Bounces one, still going. The inside centre, rampaging to Brucky in open space. Look at him go. Marcel Brucky puts his head down. Scully's with it. He won't hit. He goes up though, chases this one now. It's outside the 22, the ball bounces up and Jetty has it. Genius. Conversation, the Terminator is in. The United States have defeated Scotland for the first time in history.
Hello and welcome to 10 Minutes with Joel Stransky, South African and World Rugby sensation. Now, of course, in isolation in Johannesburg. How are you coping there, my friend?
Dallen, how are you, buddy? Really good to see you and lovely to be chatting across the world like this. Isn't it amazing what technology does and how it brings us together? Yeah, we're doing okay. You know, I think we've been in lockdown now for 3 weeks. It's look, for us folks who are a little ADD and a little hyperactive, it's hard. Obviously, from a business perspective, it's tough. But and I know it's an old cliche, but to find the silver lining, to be able to spend a bit more time with your loved ones, to spend time at home and relax a little bit more, there has been some good that's come out of it for us personally. I think certainly.
Yeah, we have to look at the positives, right? It's a very tricky time, Joel, let's go back. We met in Japan as part of the World Rugby broadcast team in 2019. We covered 10 pool matches together with the great Santi Gomez-Cora. Your thoughts on that experience?
Oh, I got goosies already, it was great times, and it was great times for a number of reasons, to meet new people, to meet yourself and Santi and to form a little bond, and that is everlasting. Rugby friends are friends forever, and this great game has brought us together. It's just special. From our first night we met, we went and had ramen together, and it was an incredible journey. But for me, the whole Rugby World Cup was sensational, not just the pool stages. The knockouts were brilliant, and I like to sum it up in the following way. There were 4 reasons why it was so incredibly special, aside from our little friendship and our little bond that we created. It was brilliantly organised. The Rugby World Cup was just sensationally organised. Everything ran like clockwork. It was just brilliant. 2, the Japanese culture, the people were just sensational. It's a culture built on honesty and integrity and helpfulness and support, and every game you went to, you just experienced this wonderful Japanese culture when you walk the streets, or we went to dinner, or we went and had a couple of lemonades. The culture was visible and fantastic. And then the third thing, and probably most importantly from a global perspective, is Japan had a great run. The team played brilliantly. They, enhanced their iconic status, which they already had after beating the Springboks in 2015. Their run was sensational, and that kept national interest in the Rugby World Cup. And then on a selfish note, for us South Africans, for us to have gone the distance and won it was just the icing on top of a wonderful, wonderful cake.
And you got a chance to you stayed on and you did those knockout games, and your wife Karen came to join you. You've obviously experienced this when you played. You've been to many other World Cups. Does this one rank pretty highly on your list?
So obviously 95 was very special for us because we were on the field. We saw the Rugby World Cup from a very different perspective as a player and as a participant, and even more so as a winner in a time for our country, which was a period of uncertainty and a period of growth, and the birth really of the Rainbow Nation and this great man, led by this great man, Nelson Mandela Madiba, who is like a grandfather to all of us, and so 95 will always be special. 2015 was great because it was in the UK, and I was based in London for 7 weeks, and London is just a special town. But I think 2019 was incredible, and you will share the experience because we didn't just sit in one place. We went Kobe, and we headed off to all these different places, Toyota, to into the south, to the islands. The last week we got to see a whole lot more of Japan, and to top it all, I took my bicycle with, which meant I didn't just see it from a train or from a bus or from a taxi. I got to see parts of Japan that I don't think anyone was as blessed as I was to see, and I think for a whole lot of reasons, yes, to answer your question, but 2019 was undoubtedly one of the best and one of the most special Rugby World Cups of all time.
I absolutely agree 100%. Now, let's rewind it back a bit. We've got a couple other things in common as well. We both have some Jewish heritage. We also attended Rondebosch Boys High School in Cape Town. I know you didn't finish there. You went off to Durban, but it's a small world, right, these days. I look back at that team at Rondebosch that I played with in 96 and 97. There were guys like Gubani Boba and Yanni Shimagi on that team, and you've been broadcasting with them for quite a while now.
Yeah, you were unfortunate to have to be paired up with some real rubbish there, eh? Actually, I think it's Shimi's birthday today, so if he is going to listen, let's take a moment and wish Shimi a very, very happy birthday. I hope it's a great one for him. Yeah, and I've been lucky to do broadcast with Shimi, and Bobs and I host a TV show every Thursday night when we're not in lockdown. So I know the guys really well, and special guys, really, really good guys, and obviously, if you come from a good breeding and a good background, and you're blessed enough to have gone to school like Rondebosch, and as you said, I moved on, finished at Maritzburg College, but our grounding was good. We are upstanding citizens because of that grounding.
Absolutely love it. I know the Bosch All Boys be enjoying that. Now let's go back actually. So during that time period, just before that, 95. Okay, let's talk about World Rugby. Just put up the opening game, Australia, South Africa. What was it like for you that week leading up to your first Springbok game in a Rugby World Cup and at home? Tell us about that experience.
Yeah, so I think it was the unknown to start with. We didn't know how good we were. We didn't know what was expected of us. We obviously trained for a long time to play that opening game. I mean, our whole focus was on playing against Australia in the opening game. I think we did have one or two little bits of good karma on our side. Nelson Mandela came to see us a few days before the game. He flew into our training session in one of the military helicopters, and he came and spoke with us and wished us luck and told us that he'd ensure that we had the whole nation behind him. And I think that great man, to be touched by his magic, is just the most inspiring thing that can ever happen to one. And so we were not only touched and blessed by his magic, but we got to the ground and we could see that what he had said was coming to fruition. We could see that the support group wasn't just the normal old traditional South African rugby fans. It was a much broader support base. It was the whole country was starting to climb in behind this team. So going to the game, we were nervous, we were scared, we didn't know what to expect. We were playing against the defending champions, Australia. They were a great side, but sometimes when you are well prepared and you're a good side and you play well on the day, you become capable of achieving something great.
And Joel, this always fascinates me. So how many times have you watched that game per se, or the final, since 95?
The honest truth.
Yes, honest truth.
So I've never sat down and watched any one of those games. Not sat and watched it. I've obviously been at functions and seen highlights, seen replays. Things are looping now on our sports channels because there's no live sports. So I think it's been on once or twice. And maybe just to tell you one funny story, I actually had to go. My son came to me, I don't know, when he was still probably 5 or 6 years old. And he said to me, "Dad, why are you so famous? Is it because you're on TV presenting rugby?" I said, "Actually, no. I said, hold on, I've got this tape somewhere. Let me show you." To go find the tape, couldn't find it. By the time I found the tape, he's ADD and he'd buggered off. I didn't even want to see it anymore. But the reality is, I think when you've lived through a moment like that and you've been part of it, you don't need to watch it to get the goosebumps and reminisce about the good old times. In fact, what makes it so special is talking to the guys you shared that moment with and reminiscing the moments rather than actually watching it.
Yeah, that's great. I love that story when you tell that. Now, there's a movie Invictus with some famous actors, of course, in it. Now, Clint Eastwood's son, Scott, is the one drop kicking that final one. What do you think of his technique?
Well, firstly, my wife always said to me she thinks he's the right guy to play me because she said he's a really good-looking little bastard. So, we were so lucky when they were filming the whole film and all the rugby scenes and everything. We got to go on site with them and spend some time with Clint Eastwood and with Morgan Freeman and Matt Damon and obviously with Scott. And what a great bunch of people, and Scott was a lovely guy. We spoke a lot about the drop and the moment and the feeling, and he wanted to really understand the passion and the emotion behind it. But to be quite frank, his effort at the drop kick was really terrible.
It's shared universally. The movie with the concept obviously was amazing. The rugby playing itself, they struggled a little bit there.
No, not great, not great. But the story of Nelson Mandela and the bodyguards and the behind the scenes was just sensational. It was really heartwarming and it was absolutely brilliant.
Now, I'm going to go to the final question here. So you mentioned you were trying to get into Scott, the background and everything. Let's go there. You're in extra time, Rugby World Cup 95 final. You're at home. You get the pass from Justin Vestes, and what's going through your head?
Well, firstly, so there was a bit that went through before the pass came. I think that's probably most importantly. Kitch Christie, our coach, had spoken during the week about it. In fact, he'd asked me, why don't you kick more drop goals? He made it sound so easy. He said it so flippantly. He said, why don't you kick more drop goals? He said, it's the easiest form of points in the game. I said, yeah, well, you don't have Zinz and Brook charging you down and trying to... He said, but what he did is he planted the seed. So when we got into the game, I mean, obviously we've worked on it and practiced it a little bit and made sure I could kick them. And when we got down there, we knew we had to score. It was 12-all. We knew a draw was not in our favour because we'd had players sent off in the battle against Canada, the fight against Canada, and where Gareth Rees was a disgustingly dirty player. I can't say that for him now. He's a good friend of ours, so we can say that. But just we looked up, we called a back row move, and we could see that the All Blacks had obviously studied our moves, and we could see they were lined up to defend it quite easily. But what it meant is the way they lined up defensively, it meant there was a gap for the kick. So I said to Joost, let's change it, send the ball back and let's go for the drop kick. And then once it's in action, to answer your question, there's no time to think. There's nothing going through your mind. There's only process. There's only catching the ball. There's only dropping it perfectly. It's only just about concentrating on that exact moment and on doing what you're doing and doing it well.
Well, Joel, we can't wait to have you on a new podcast called Rugby Hive for a longer chat. There's so much to talk about. There's so many great memories and stories that you have from the guys that have played before. And listen, thanks so much for providing some champagne moments here for the Rugby Corner. That was 10 minutes with Joel Stransky. Keep the change.
Because one day you're going to come visit and I'm going to be able to show you this. So this is a commemorative port, especially I had Fitzy for dinner and I wanted to give him some. It says 1512 on the bottle. And then this is the big bottle of champagne that we were given when we won the World Cup final. And I managed to grab the champers and not open it. And it's lived here in my house ever since.
Hang on. There's one bottle. That's quite special. Joel, hang on. There's one bottle that was made or everyone got one?
No, only one.
And you got it and it's there in your house.
I've got that. And
forget load shedding. Is it